Hello and welcome. Silrace here with Star Citizen, and Calix Renault and Randy Vasquez have been on a roll answering some questions. I am sorry for butchering those names. English is not my native language. Well, still not. Anyway, we will roll with it. So, the Q&A for answering things about the Anvil Crucible is out, and I'm gonna go over this thing kind of briefly here. Section by section, not question by question, but give some of my thoughts out on the whole thing, on the whole Anvil Crucible. So also there is a design post linked here. I will link this Q&A in the description below once again. But there is a design post linked here as well with which explains the details on the repair mechanic, and I will make a separate video talking about that because to me it was very interesting and I will definitely talk about that. But let's go over this Q&A. Firstly, I am really happy that you can navigate a jump point with a ship in the bay when you have an enclosed repair bay installed. That means that when you are called to repair somebody or something, you know already where you are heading, because you're just like, imagine a situation where somebody is having ship troubles and it's like, okay, you have a repair ship, can you please come fix my ship and I will pay you a little bit for it. The fact that you can put a ship, a fighter ship, into the bay and still navigate a jump point is a big deal, because it allows you to bring your own bodyguard with you in situations like this. You can put one of the fighter ships in there, jump wherever you are going, and let the ship out so it can guard you while you are doing your repairing businesses. That is fantastic. That is exactly how I envisioned this thing to work, and it is awesome to know that it will work in the same fashion here. The interesting part here as well is obviously you can repair yourself with the Crucible, but they have omitted out that they have said that you cannot repair absolutely everything. So there is only a certain degree you can repair the Crucible by itself, which is kind of interesting. I will wait to see what the actual dimensions are, as in which parts you cannot actually repair. But running two Crucibles in tandem could be very good for like mass repair operations for that reason also. And can the carriage unit be left floating in space? This was something I was really interested in, and the answer is apparently yes. And you can undock and redock it. That is fantastic. So you can essentially undock the garage unit and fly around a bigger capital ship, for example, and repair it instead. That is so very good. Because it means you can do a whole lot of stuff with a single Crucible alone. Okay, it might take a while to do, like repair big ships on your own with one single repair ship, but this allows doing just that, which is fantastic. Like in emergency cases, in fringe cases where you cannot suddenly access 10 Crucibles to repair your capital ships, you can still do it on the fringes with a single Crucible, which is just awesome. It gives this ship so much more flexibility than if it was, let's say, like you could only do this much with one ship, with one Crucible, and that is fantastic. So you can fit most single-seater ships into the Crucible. Obviously, it's an Anvil Crucible, so the fact that they actually even mentioned that they can fit all Anvil ships in it, that actually makes the most sense, right? You should be able to fix or fit every single Anvil fighter in it just fine, because it's obviously made by the same damn design, essentially. The same company makes these ships, so obviously it should be able to fix its own ships. And that's fantastic. This also means that you can bring a Super Hornet with you when you like jump over from place to place. That is awesome. I really like that bed. The interesting pieces here to like really like the really big interesting piece to me here was the fact that you can have an AI operate big parts of the Crucible. So essentially, obviously humans are supposed to be able to do this stuff faster than the AI operators, but that means you can fly Crucible solo. And that's something I really wanted to know the answer to. And I'm also really happy about it, even if it takes a little bit longer to fix ships with the Crucible using AI partners. It might be nice to actually be able to do that instead of always needing human crew. So what I am really curious about, and what this doesn't really answer yet, I assume it is possible, is to have, for example, when you are fixing a fighter, have the pilot of that fighter come help you out in your Crucible to repair his or her ship. Obviously, because that, I mean, the pilot probably does not have to sit in the ship which is being repaired. So they can get out, they can come into your Crucible, and they can take the space of one of those normally AI dudes, and suddenly you have two crew members, human crew members that is. What I really want to know is this the case? And that's something which hasn't been answered here, at least as far as I can read. So, is it necessary for a person to be in the ship being repaired? Or actually, is it even necessary for the player to come out of the ship before they can be repaired? Because that would also kind of make sense. Very few repairs are being done to things like cars and such, while there is somebody, you know, sitting in the seat of the car. Anyway. That is something which still needs to, which I still need to find out if it's that way, and eventually once the Crucible becomes flyable and so forth, we probably will find that out. I am very curious though how that's going to really work. And towing, that was also another big thing which was talked about here. There is obviously, actually this thing just says that towing, they are not sure how towing will be handled. Like, can you tow a ship? And obviously we are talking about space here. So you should be able to tow ships in space. Obviously, the big thing is, how do you stop the tow action from happening? Like, that's the big restriction. Like, you can pull everything into motion in space. But being able to stop that motion, that's a different thing entirely. And I am really curious to see what kind of a towing system they are going to build in. And are we going to get, once it's built, are we going to get some kind of a module or whatnot which allows the Crucible to also work as a towing ship? Because that would make the most sense to me, at least to me, right? This thing which repairs stuff would also be able to tow things to, like, you know, get them to a safer place to conduct those repairs, if nothing else. So that's very nice. And also there is a very interesting piece here. Is there any gameplay that would require multiple Crucibles to be working in unison? And the answer is kind of interestingly vague here, obviously. But with a wording of like, the Crucible is capable of repairing a majority of damages attained by a ship. That is a very interesting, vague way to answer it. So, obviously they do say straight up that we do not have multi-Crucible gameplay in our plans for the near future, but obviously I am hoping that once we get big capital ships, we can use multiple Crucibles to repair them faster than a single Crucible would. As in, consider it an assist repair maneuver, or however you wanna call it, but that would make sense. Like, you can, if you take a look at car repairs, there There are certain things where you cannot put more than 1 or 2 persons to fix a certain part, simply because you can't fit more than a couple pair of hands in that location. But the more you have to fix a car from different angles, different pieces, so forth, the more people you have around who know what they are doing, the faster it will be get done. And I'm hoping the same gets going on here with the Crucible overall. And there is this very interesting, very interesting final question. How long do you anticipate taking to repair a single heavy damaged Hornet? Obviously, this is about the Hornet, and they say that they have whiteboard estimates, but there is no clear-cut answer yet. But something about probably 15 minutes for a heavily damaged Hornet, and a full crew with 2 or 3 minutes, as in a solo. Solo Crucible repair might be 15 minutes, and a full crew of a human crew would be 2 to 3 minutes. Those times are something I am quite okay with. I am actually really okay with those timers, because in all honesty, as I mentioned previously and so forth, in my previous Q&A for the Aegis ship as well, because it has the prison module after all. Not Aegis, what am I talking about? Avenger. Aegis Avenger, anyway. Anyway, moving on past that, a little slip there. So, we all know that it is just not fun to be forced to sit around doing nothing for a long periods of time. It might be immersive for a little while, but if you don't have a lot of time to play, if you have to do something else with your life, so on, or if you just want to get back into the action, it gets really dull if you cannot play what you wanna play for hours and maybe even days on end. Like I said, it would be immersive for a while, but imagine it happening very often to you or some such, you get unlucky, whatever, and suddenly you are spending half of your playtime just sitting around waiting to be repaired. That does not seem like fun, at least to me. So 15 minutes, okay, that's completely fine for a Hornet. And note that this is talking about Hornet. This is talking about a single-seater ship. We can probably expect that time to be probably an hour or something with a single Crucible for a larger ship. I would expect that to be the case. Like, the larger we go on the ship and the more heavily damaged it is, obviously, the longer time it takes to repair it. Anyway, that is pretty much this thing. Oh, actually, the salvage business. But I have been very curious about how salvage works for the game, or how it's going to work overall, and there is a very minor answer here as well. Like, can I use my reclaimer to salvage ship components, then use my Crucible to reassemble them? They specifically straight up said that you can repair components, but you cannot remanufacture them, as in you cannot take something to pieces through salvage and then make it whole again. But you can use that salvage to repair other components. That is very nice. That's exactly how I wanted salvage to work. So yeah, hopefully it will remain that way, that something which has been basically destroyed, as in we have 2 ships, one of them somewhat damaged and one which is basically in scrap heap. We can salvage the scrap heap ship and repair the barely damaged ship, the halfway damaged ship, with the salvage. And that is fantastic. Let's hope it's that way. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this was, well, interesting to somebody. At least I found this whole Q&A very interesting again. It answered some of my things, but it still left some open things, such as how many multiple Crucibles we are going to need for big capital ships eventually. And how much faster will it be? Anyway, those are probably still being designed and so forth. It's something I'm waiting for answers to. Thank you very much for listening and watching.